evening. We're going to start the meeting, go into executive session, and then we'll be back. Yes, so roll call, please, Ms. Mahmood.
Surely. Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Mrs. Haas?
Here.
Dr. Harris?
Here.
Ms. Maroon?
Here.
Okay. Mr. Faith here? Mr. Oliver? Mr. Pulsifer? Here. Mrs. Stats?
Here.
Ms. Trujillo?
Here.
And Dr. Sasson?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
In accordance with the State Sunshines Law of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting was provided on February 20th to the Hillsborough Beacon and Prairie News. We'll forego the Pledge of Allegiance till tomorrow. Mr. Oliver has just arrived. Sorry, till 7:30. So we're going to move into executive session. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the laws of 1975 provides that a public body may exclude the public from that portion of a meeting of which the public body discusses certain matters for which confidentiality is required as permitted in Section 7B of the Act, resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Hillsborough and the County of Somerset and State of New Jersey as follows. The matters to be discussed are negotiations, vendor contract, and personnel matters, and the matters to be discussed in executive session shall be disclosed to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. May I have a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Judy.
Second.
Thank you, Ann. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. We are in executive session, and we will return at 7:30. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's great to see a lot of people. We are back from executive session, so I'd like a roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Surely, Dr. Sasson. Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Mrs. Haas?
Here.
Dr. Harris?
Here.
Mrs. Maroon?
Here.
Mr. Oliver?
Here.
Mr. Pulsifer? Mrs. Stats?
Here.
Ms. Trujillo?
Here.
And Dr. Sasson?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance now, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have several minutes to approve. Can I have a motion to approve the executive session minutes from February 10th? Thank you, Judy.
Second.
Thank you, Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain?
Motion passes.
Thank you. Motion to approve the regular meeting minutes. Can I have a motion, please? Thank you, Judy.
Second.
Lisa, Jane, whoever.
I'll do Lisa.
They can fight, hand wrestle over it. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstain?
Motion passes.
Thank you. Correspondence is as listed, and we'll move to the Superintendent's Report.
Good evening. So before I begin, I just want to apologize on the front side in case I get some names wrong this evening, the pronunciation of names wrong. I know how important names are to everybody, so while I do have the names written for me here, if I mess it up, I apologize on the front side. I'm pleased to highlight our National Art Honor Society students who participated in the Memory Project this winter. The Memory Project is an organization that works to break down global boundaries and promote intercultural awareness through the creation and delivery of portraits. Our students were given 11 photos of children who are refugees in Malaysia, and the students created artistic renderings of them to send as gifts. The students who participated are Sean Furby, Tarina Shankar, Kajil Patel, Sabrina Farrell, Yugma Patel, Kaylin Dayoud, Gabriella Gioli, Sadie Cords, Youssef Abdelhalam, Swetha Reddy, and Katrina Duke. We are so proud of their hard work, and they are absolutely gorgeous. So congratulations. Aravind Krishanan, an 11th grader at the high school, placed third in the Brain Bee at Rutgers University. Congratulations. Congratulations also goes to Olivia Tresepes, a fourth grader at Woods Road Elementary School, whose art is on display at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. Her piece was one of 30 pieces selected for display out of hundreds of entries. Congratulations, Olivia. And each year, we look forward to recognizing our teachers and educational services professionals of the year. This year is no exception. At this time, I welcome the principals, along with their recipients, to step up to the podium. Following the recognition, there'll be a brief break, say that 10 times fast, brief break in the meeting for cake and some pictures. Let's begin with Dr. Trabulski, who will fill in for Ms. Bingert, who can't be here this evening, and he's going to start with introduction of our Hillsborough High School Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Haygood. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Tutis. Good evening, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight on a great occasion. Coming out to a board meeting is always a pleasure, but on a night like tonight, when we get to honor and recognize so many wonderful teachers and other professionals in our schools, what could be better? So it's my pleasure to be here first to represent the high school on behalf of Karen Bingert, the principal, who is away this week caring for a family member. So I'm proud to do the honors for her. And I'd like to begin with our Educational Services Professional of the Year for Hillsborough High School, Katie Yan. Katie, would you join me? I'm right here. Congratulations. Right there. Katie is a Hillsborough High School graduate who works as a personal instructional assistant for a visually impaired student at the high school. After other years working in general classroom settings with great success, she now accompanies this student around the school, helping her learn the layout of the building and developing the knowledge and skills required to become increasingly independent at the high school and in life. Ms. Yan has been an advocate for this student as she has begun to learn Braille, as well as to assist her in every aspect of fully accessing her education at Hillsborough High School. In addition, because of her students' incredible vocal talent, Ms. Yan has become very involved in the choral program at the high school, attending rehearsals and concerts, as well as both in school as well as in the students' outside life, where she's had opportunities to showcase her talents. Ms. Yan is a positive, funny, smart, attentive, and dedicated professional. She also has a love of life that shows itself daily, but never more so than during the holiday season.
I wear a Christmas sweater.
Yeah, when she wears a different festive sweater every day, representing an array of holidays and beliefs and making everyone who encounters her smile. In fact, she even loaned one to her student for a Spirit Day activity, showing just how willing she is to include her student in every aspect of life at the high school. Katie Yan is a treasure to Hillsborough High School and to her students. Congratulations as the Educational Services Professional of the Year. And next, please join me in welcoming the Hillsborough High School Teacher of the Year, Jessica Haygood. Jessica? A member of the Family and Consumer Science Department, Ms. Haygood teaches two very distinct classes, the preschool class and the independent living elective for students in the self-contained special education population. In the preschool class, Ms. Haygood works with high school students for the first part of the year, teaching them the skill sets they need to be preschool teachers, from the mechanics of writing lesson plans to the skills needed to hold the attention of 3- and 4-year-olds. The high school students begin to develop a sense of what it is really like to be a teacher. They work in our elementary schools for the first part of the year under the supervision of teachers in our district, and then for the second half of the year, they run an actual preschool program at the high school that serves the community. Students not only learn about teaching, but also about running a small business. Many of our students will continue to study education after graduation and will become the teachers of tomorrow. In the independent living class, Ms. Haygood helps students learn important skills like cooking and personal care, cleaning, and so on, that as they grow up and become increasingly independent themselves, they'll have a strong foundation upon which to build. Ms. Haygood is the consummate professional and models what she teaches to all of her students and is an excellent example of the very best of the best in education. Congratulations, Jessica Haygood, Hillsborough High School Teacher of the Year. Now I'd like to bring up our Hillsborough Middle School professionals for the year, starting with our Educational Services Professional of the Year at HMS, Mrs. Carol Ann Giresi. Hey. Ms. Giresi joined Hillsborough Middle School in 1990 as a special education teacher. Over the years, her gifted ability to connect with all types of students and to mentor aspiring young teachers, including one who would go on to become vice principal of the middle school, never went unnoticed. In 2013, I asked Carol Ann if she would consider stepping into a new role as the Learning Disabilities Teacher Consultant on the HMS Child Study Team, where she could guide and support the individual educational programs of all of our special needs students. Now, of all of the problem solvers with whom I work at HMS, none compare to the talents of Carol Ann Giresi. She can turn any challenge or issue into an opportunity for new success. No matter how daunting the task, and I know she's going to hate this reference, like Mary Poppins, she reaches into her bottomless bag of tricks and pulls out a new solution every time, and it's all good. For her expertise and creativity in educational program design, for her leadership as a mentor to both students and teachers alike, for the difference that she's made in the lives of so many youngsters with special needs, and for her tireless dedication, patience, and advocacy for the success of all children, HMS is proud to recognize Carol Ann Giresi as our Educational Services Professional of the Year. Next, please join me in welcoming our HMS Teacher of the Year, Heather DeBenedetto. There you go, right here. Heather DeBenedetto joined Hillsborough Middle School in 2004 as a teacher of special education. Over the last 10 years, she has been the lead teacher of our Language and Learning Disabilities classroom. Mrs. DeBenedetto's vibrant work with students of such diverse special needs is well known and highly respected across our entire school. And one of the many reasons for this is that in Heather's classroom, she invites in students from other classes in the regular education program to assist. It's a tribute to Heather DeBenedetto's welcoming and positive disposition and the classroom environment that she creates that so many students jump at the opportunity to volunteer and spend time working with her students, reading and vocational activities, and making new friends. The value of those shared experiences and the friendships that form across these different types of students is truly immeasurable. Mrs. DeBenedetto is also active in our community. For the past several years, she has sponsored activities that promote awareness and understanding of autism and Down syndrome around our district, including benefits to support Gigi's Playhouse, a therapeutic-based career development center for children with Down syndrome and other developmental disabilities in our community. In recent years, Heather's initiatives with vocational and career-based intervention programs, both in school and in our community, have played a great part in building our school-to-work transitional programs at the high school. For her contribution in all of these areas, as an inspiration to both students and colleagues alike, as an exemplary teacher of youngsters with special needs, and for her loving dedication to her profession and to her students, HMS is proud to recognize Mrs. Heather DeBenedetto as our Teacher of the Year. Now I'd like to welcome Chris Carey on behalf of Alton Road Intermediate School. Chris.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to first extend just a warm congratulations to all the Educational Service Professionals of the Year and Teachers of the Year. Well done, job well done. I'll start by asking Ms. Nora Brinkowski, the Educational Service Professional of the Year for Alton Road, to come on up. Nora joined Hillsborough Public Schools in 1997 as a school psychologist. Over the next 7 years, Nora worked as part of a child study team for 3 elementary schools, one of which was Alton Road when it was a K-5 elementary school. In 2004, Nora moved into the role of school counselor at Alton Road Intermediate School, where she has remained and where she provides vital support to help students academically, emotionally, and socially. Over her tenure, Nora has been an integral member of many school-based committees which have greatly impacted the formation and revision of programs to best meet the needs of our students. These include revamping the school's instrumental music pullout program and schedule, serving as an ongoing member of our emergency response team, developing and integrating character education and social-emotional learning activities for the entire school, formalizing our end-of-the-school day WIN program, and serving as Alton Road's representative on the Superintendents Advisory Council. Nora was also integral toward helping to expand the district autism program many years ago. Her collaborative work in this capacity helped to provide a comprehensive program that addressed the needs of students as they matured and needed to transition from one school to the next. Additionally, Nora has supported our school so capably through her work as our school's INRS and 504 coordinator. Serving as the INRS 504 facilitator for the past 5 years, Nora brings a wealth of knowledge to help students who are struggling for a variety of reasons. I know that the team is always so impressed by her warm and calming demeanor with parents, which is especially helpful in this important role. Nora is certainly not one to toot her own horn, but as you work closely with her, you will quickly acknowledge and gain a deep respect for her knowledge of school counseling and the ways that she mediates very tough situations. Each time I partner with her to address a school matter or difficult situation, I'm always so impressed by her thoroughness, her attention to detail, and how she manages to balance each and every viewpoint in an effort to bring out a positive outcome. Nora, on behalf of the entire staff at Alton Road, we appreciate your unyielding commitment to support the well-being of students and staff alike. Your work ethic and ability to get the job done is second to none. We are a better school for having you with us each and every day, and we are proud that you have been recognized to receive this honor. Please join me once again, Nora Brinkowski, Educator Service Professional of the Year. Now I'd like to invite up Ms. Sylvia Schizzeri, Alton Road Teacher of the Year. Sylvia is currently in her 28th year of teaching. 26 of those have been with Hillsborough Public Schools. When Sylvia joined Hillsborough, she worked several years in many of the district's elementary schools. Sylvia has been with Alton Road since its inception in 1999 as a K-5 elementary school, and was also here in 2002 when it opened up as an intermediate school. Over the last 18 years, Sylvia has served as the school's head representative for the Hillsborough Education Association and also served as the association's negotiations team, as well as their Pride Committee and on the Action Team Committee. For the last 10 years, Sylvia served as one of the co-advisors to Alton Road's Student Council, where a core mission of the council has been to develop our future leaders by organizing fundraising events to support those in need locally and regionally. Sylvia is also an advisor for our Team Sports and Games Club, which is one of our most popular in the school, as well as our 5th grade I Run Club. For many years, Sylvia has also served as a varsity tennis coach and JV softball coach in the district. In addition to her efforts to support the students and staff at Alton Road, Sylvia has also led efforts in our physical education department to involve students in a charity program titled Hoops for Heart, which is a subset of the American Heart Association. In fact, I'm very proud to report that through Sylvia's efforts, Alton Road has collectively raised over $200,000 for this wonderful cause. Sylvia believes a classroom should be a safe and caring environment where students are free to share their struggles and celebrate their accomplishments. This same supportive and caring outlook has also served Sylvia over the years as she serves as a mentor to new teachers, and as well as students whenever needed. I also appreciate Sylvia's philosophy toward professional growth. She shared with me that it is important for her to be open to change, learn new strategies, and new ideas in order to stay relevant and to connect positively with her students. She has fully embraced this ideal in other fronts as well. As for the last several years, Sylvia has supported her local community where she resides by serving as a member of their Board of Education. Sylvia, on behalf of the entire Alton Road community, we are so proud to have you represent our school as our Teacher of the Year. Thank you for all you do to inspire the very best in your students. We appreciate you, all that you do. Sylvia Scazzari, Teacher of the Year for Alton Road. And now I'd like to introduce the principal of Woods Road Elementary School, Miss Jody Howe.
Good evening. I would like to have Miss Janine Riley come on up to the podium, please. Woods Road School is proud to announce that Mrs. Riley has been selected as the 2020 Governor's Educator of the Year. Mrs. Riley has worked at Woods Road School with students in preschool through grade 4 in multiple positions. She began as a lunch aide back in 2007 and then went on to be an instructional assistant. Her most recent position is a special education teacher in our preschool autism, preschool disabled program since 2015. She is a dedicated professional who continues to demonstrate an in-depth knowledge of content that is current, correct, and comprehensive. In addition, Mrs. Riley demonstrates continuing competence in pedagogy. She demonstrates an understanding of the intellectual, social, emotional, and physical development of this age group and provides appropriate accommodations for her diverse learners, preschool students with special needs, and she incorporates applied behavior analysis techniques into her practice. Mrs. Riley is very passionate about teaching and education. She accepts children where they are and moves them ahead in their learning. She is exceedingly patient with all of her students, encourages them to produce their best work. Mrs. Riley's learning environment is one that is organized and visually stimulating, which promotes all domains of the preschool functioning, including social skills, language development, fine and gross motor skills, and adaptive skills. She encourages students to take risks, and students always feel comfortable to answer questions and participate. Instructional time is maximized, and Mrs. Riley leads seamless transitions from one activity to the next. Her lessons have plenty of multisensory items included. Mrs. Riley is always very animated and energetic when she's teaching her lessons and engages the paraprofessionals in her classroom collaboratively. This is evidenced by her questioning techniques, her prompts, and individual letter work or word work. Mrs. Riley continues to differentiate the instructional content, process, and product, as well as learning environment to meet the diverse developmental needs and provides remediation, enrichment, and acceleration to further student understanding of material and learning. Mrs. Riley demonstrates professional growth through a willingness to examine her own teaching effectiveness and to explore alternative methods. It is evident that Mrs. Riley is committed to learning and providing our students with the best education possible. The love and dedication she has for her students is evident from the moment her students get off the buses. She works extremely hard to make sure her students feel loved and appreciated for their unique personalities. Mrs. Riley expends time and energy preparing detailed lesson plans that reflect the New Jersey preschool teaching and learning standards, as well as students' IEPs. Her lessons also take into consideration students' learning styles, interests, and readiness. She analyzes and uses multiple sources of student learning data to guide her planning, and that's evidenced by the use of discrete trial teaching. Her lesson plans reflect continuity in terms of short and long-range objectives with follow-up activities clearly indicated. Mrs. Riley's activities and presentations reflect accurate and up-to-date knowledge of students with autism. Mrs. Riley maintains an excellent partnership with staff, parents, students, and administrators, and of course, community members. She recognizes the importance of home-school contact and communicates with parents daily via email, individual communication books, phone calls, conferences, IEP and annual review meetings, as well as wonderful classroom events. Mrs. Riley offers suggestions for improvement and/or assists in class, school, or district programs and activities. Mrs. Riley and her family are very active in the Hillsborough community. They own a family business in town and provide solace and guidance for community members during times of grief. Her door is always open, both at home and her second home at Woods Road School. Mrs. Riley provides her colleagues with research-based techniques and resources to help them be successful in their teaching. She is also spearheading a playground fencing project for our preschool students. She saw a need and took the initiative to get this project up and running for hopefully the spring of 2020. When I asked her what her favorite quote was, Mrs. Riley shared a quote from B.F. Skinner. Quote, "A failure is not always a mistake. It may simply be the best one can do under the circumstance. The real mistake is to stop trying." End quote. When I asked Mrs. Riley what her most memorable teaching moments were, she shared the following. "After my students graduate and leave my room, my greatest moments with my students have been the pictures I get when they make honor roll for the first time at the middle school, the encounters I face when I see parents out and about in this town in which I reside, that they are now out of resource room and thank me for believing in their child. Sometimes it's the text out of the blue that I get from a parent telling me that their child has been mainstreamed back into the general education classes. My gift is when a parent comes to my classroom long after a child has left us to cry and ask to hear from someone that they know with certainty and also loves them and believes in their little boy. These lifelong connections to the children and the families that I serve are worth more to me than anything. These are some of my priceless memories. My choice to advocate for exceptional children and their families while encouraging my colleagues to do the same is what drives me every day. I challenge myself and those around me to differentiate current research-based, individualized instruction and behavioral approaches to solidify the daily success, 1% at a time. I know with certainty that it is through the support of my amazing instructional assistants, along with the encouragement from my family, that I am able to focus so much of myself to create an optimum environment of learning and love for our students and their families. For that, I am eternally grateful. Mrs. Riley is a tireless advocate for her students and their families. Woods Road School is so honored to have Mrs. Riley as its Governor's Educator of the Year. On behalf of Woods Road School, thank you for your dedication to our students and school community. Congratulations. Look over here. Thank you. It is my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Steve Kerrigan, Principal of Woodford School.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is my honor to present Woodford's Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Amy Fittecaro. Mrs. Fittecaro is Woodford's Teacher of the Year. She is also our Teacher of Writing. Has been teaching for 26 years. 25 have been in Hillsborough and 25 have been in Woodford. It is truly her home school. She's taught kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. She's been an academic support teacher and is now, like I said, our Teacher of Writing. That wealth of knowledge helps all the students that she services, helps all of the teachers that she helps. Her drive to learn, to grow, to develop her students is evidenced in everything that she does. She serves as a key member of our Intervention and Referral Services Committee. She's on our School Safety and Climate Committee. Was instrumental in putting some very special programs in place that have made the Woodford family come even closer together. She thoroughly enjoys teaching. She thoroughly enjoys coming to work every day because, as she says, every day is a fresh start. Amy says that there is such a great feeling when you witness in a young child's eyes that spark when they truly understand or make a connection to something. That also goes for all the teachers that she works with, too. Amy's philosophy of education is always changing, as are the lifestyles of today's youth. Mrs. Fittecaro believes that if a child enjoys coming to school, feels safe at school, then the learning will happen. As we talked about tonight, and all these different things, I asked for several quotes, something that a little bit of who Amy is will come across. And this was a quote that she picked from Chaim Gano. Teachers are expected to reach unattainable goals with inadequate tools. The miracle is that at times they accomplish this impossible task. Amy, it's thanks to you that miracles happen every day at Woodford. Congratulations. And now I'd like to introduce the principal of Triangle School, Mr. Anthony Alaperti.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations to all the Teachers of the Year and Educational Services professionals being honored tonight. Triangle School is proud to announce and celebrate our 2019 and 2020 Governor's Educator of the Year, Mrs. Tracy Regencia. Mrs. Regencia has been teaching in Hillsborough for the past 13 years. She began her time here at Alton Road School as a long-term special education teacher before coming to Triangle School. Over the past 13 years, Mrs. Regencia taught a combination of special education and general education classes at Triangle. She spent 10 years teaching students with special needs in a learning and language disability setting, and the last 3 years as a second grade gen ed teacher. Mrs. Regencia also works the ESY program over the summer to help students with special needs maintain the progress they've made throughout the school year. Through all these experiences, Mrs. Regencia continues to make a profound difference in all the students' lives she instructs. Inspirational writer William Arthur Ward once wrote, "The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, but the great teacher inspires." This quote applies to Mrs. Regencia. Although I am new to my position as principal at Triangle School, it was clear from early on that Mrs. Regencia inspires the students in her class on a daily basis. From the innovative activities her students participate in, to her ability to present information to her students in a way that is differentiated and meaningful, and to her overall compassion for students and their well-being, Mrs. Regencia continues to inspire all of them. And the reputation and legacy she possesses at Triangle is outstanding. Having only worked with Mrs. Regencia for a few short months, I am blown away by all of the heartwarming affirmations and stories written about her in her nomination letters that I received. And from those, it became evident to me just what a wonderful educator she truly is and what a lasting impact she's made at the school. In nominations, Mrs. Regencia is described as possessing teaching skills, knowledge, and experience that all teachers must have. It is her dedication to her profession, her willingness to go above and beyond what is required, and her underlying commitment to her students that make her well qualified for this distinction. As stated by one of Mrs. Regencia's colleagues, from the moment Mrs. Regencia arrived at Triangle, she brought continuity, concern, and high standards to those students for whom consistency is vital. She devoted herself to teaching students important academic skills, as well as focusing on life skills they would need in order to be successful. She has always been an advocate for her students and continuously goes above and beyond supporting her students in the classroom. Mrs. Regencia has always made herself available for the parents of her students and gives them confidence that the children would continue to grow both academically and socially. Nominations also describe the kind of person Mrs. Regencia is. Tracy Regencia has hands down made me a better teacher and friend. She made me see that a disability is simply a word on a paper. The student is what matters. The way they laugh, their personality, and their heart are all that matter. As a friend, she has pushed me to always be thinking of others. I think the world we live in would be a better place if we all lived a little bit more like Tracy. Mrs. Regencia loves what she does, and it shows. Both inside the classroom and out, she is a role model to others as to how to teach children and influence their lives in a positive way. Congratulations, Tracy. And now I'd like to introduce Dr. Tammy Jenkins, principal at Sunnymead.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Yes, you know, we're elementary school principals. We're used to being spoken back to. Congratulations to all of the honorees. And tonight, it is my distinct pleasure to present to some, introduce to others, Sunnymead's 2020 Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Beverly Stack. Beverly Stack, Bev, as we so affectionately call her, has been a true Sunnymeader. I just made that word up. Bev started her student teaching at Sunnymead School. Then she took over a maternity leave position the day after student teaching ended, and then began a full-time teaching position that following September. She has called Sunnymead her home away from home for the past 27 years, and I have had the distinct pleasure and honor of watching Bev make magic in her classroom for 17 of those years. Currently, she teaches second grade. However, Bev has taught third grade and fourth grade. She's been an ASI teacher, all because we like to keep things really, interesting and moving at Sunnymead. And she always moves with me when I move her. And each time, she continues to sprinkle her magic, no matter what classroom she's in. She's a dedicated and talented teacher. She works hard, and she holds her students accountable. She serves as a role model to her colleagues. So I asked some of your colleagues to share some thoughts about you, all that are appropriate to talk about at this podium. And here are some of the things that they said. Although she is an experienced teacher, she tries new approaches and actively seeks out new activities for her students. Bev, they said that you always freely share your ideas with your grade level partners, that you know your students well and gives each one exactly what they need to succeed as a student and a person. As a colleague, you're always willing to help this one particular colleague with, this is her quote, her crazy ideas. And that you make each day at Sunnymead a great day. Another colleague said you're a team player who works collaboratively to create exciting lessons. And lastly, one colleague said, honestly, as a colleague, she's just the best. I asked Bev what she loves most about teaching, and she said seeing how excited the kids get about learning something new, and when they come in to show her and tell her how they continue to pursue the topic or the skill on their own at home. Truly a teacher, someone that appreciates that the kids are still learners. Bev, you are a mentor, an innovator, a difference maker, a risk taker, truly a game changer. You teach with intentionality, passion, and purpose. And we are blessed to have you as a member of our Sunnymead family. We love you, we honor you, we applaud you, and most importantly, tonight, my girl, we celebrate you. Congratulations. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the principal of Hillsborough Elementary School, Mrs. Susan Eckstein.
Good evening. First of all, congratulations to all our award recipients. You brought out a nice crowd for a Monday night. Way to go. It's a pleasure to be in the company of all you incredible educators. And on behalf of Hillsborough Elementary School, it is my honor to introduce our Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Leslie Thompson. There we go. Mrs. Thompson has been in education for 7 years, every single one of them with us at HES. During this time, she taught special education for 4 years, and then she approached me with a quick question. It always starts out that way. Sue, do you have time for a quick question? As I waited, she said, "Hey, Sue, I'd like my own class, my own ship, you know, a tight connection with parents and students and their families. And you know that amazing bond that you get when you're with a class for the whole day? Is there any possibility you have an opening for a classroom teacher?" Well, I did have an opening, but I had to consider all the positions this would be leaving us. She's an amazing resource teacher. She has a knack for pinpointing students' learning needs and developing the strategies to help each meet with success. She helps each child believe in his or her skills and develop the "I can do it" attitude and the persistence required to achieve. I loved watching the smiles of her students when they were walking down the hallway and entering her classroom, each coming from their own classroom, and then coming together to build a tight family. In other words, it was for all of these reasons that I honored her request to become a classroom teacher. Mrs. Thompson has been teaching 4th grade ever since, and her students are lucky to be in her care. I want to thank Mrs. Thompson's entourage. Let me make sure I've got everybody here. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Price, her in-laws, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, her husband, Rob, and daughter, Mackenzie. So I want to thank you not only for joining us this evening, but for sharing your wife, mother, and daughter with us. We all know that teachers extend their hours and energy long beyond the workday, so thank you very much. The work that Leslie does truly makes a difference in the life of her students and her colleagues. Mrs. Thompson was nominated for this position by parents, students, and colleagues. She had several nominations. When the HES committee chose her for this honor, there was a knowing nod shared by all in the room. Leslie Thompson's dedication is unsurpassed, and she's continuously sharing creative and innovative ideas with her colleagues in order to engage all students. One of her colleagues commented on Leslie's ability, and this is in her words, "Just get folks on board to move in a positive directions, and always, always with the success of all children in mind." One parent, who I believe is in this room today, stated that Mrs. Thompson is very in tune with what each student needs and is always willing to go the extra mile to make sure each student is getting just that. Another parent stated, "Mrs. Thompson never leaves her job at the doors of Hillsborough Elementary School. She truly cares for her students as a whole." I learned from that parent that Leslie Thompson attends field hockey games, battles the cold to attend student hockey games, and participates in community events just to show her students that they are important, worthy, and they are loved. Ms. Thompson provides her students a strong foundation to be able to meet the challenges and demonstrate that they are strong and resilient and ready to march forward into intermediate school and beyond. Leslie, I thank you for your continued focus on the whole child by fostering independence, building work ethic, and developing strong character and reflectiveness. You promote thinkers, student leaders, and proactive citizens, and you foster a respectful and inclusive classroom. One of Mrs. Thompson's best activities that I just had to highlight was the "This Is Me" video last year. It was a montage that included every single 4th grader and many of the staff members in the school. It was set to the song of the name "The Greatest Showman," which is arguably one of the best anthems to individuality ever. Each participant completed a sign with the simple statement, "I am." The powerful responses not only demonstrated how broad our experience are, but also helped to drive home how really, really similar we are, and we're not different at all. We have the same fears and the same needs. You created an activity that brought us all together and made students and staff feel even more connected and part of the HES family. Through your own energy and extremely positive outlook about learning, life, and each person's value, you help even the most reluctant learners become the most excited learners, and I thank you for that. I could not be happier about the selection for the HES Teacher of the Year. Congratulations, Mrs. Leslie Thompson. At this time, I'd like to introduce the principal of Amsterdam School, Dr. Marianne Milady.
Good evening, everyone. Amsterdam School would like to extend their congratulations to all recipients this evening. It is truly an honor to work with all of you. You're all outstanding. It is with pride and great pleasure that I announce Allison Scavo as a recipient of the Governor's Education of the Year Award for Amsterdam Elementary School. My first encounter with Allison was when she was a kindergarten teacher. At that time, I thought, what a perfect fit. No one could do this better. She had that special personality that captured the hearts of her young students. What she accomplished in that setting was absolutely amazing. I was saddened when Allison decided she wanted to move to first grade. I soon learned that I had nothing to fear. Kindergarten's loss was first grade's gain. She was an exemplary first grade teacher. She made the same connections with her students and was remarkable at helping children of all capabilities be successful in that very important year. Allison's career path soon took another turn. She went on to be an ASI teacher, and there, too, she was a perfect fit. Do you recognize a pattern going here? I think we can safely assume that Allison will be a perfect fit for any role she assumes. She will take on that role and excel because that is what she is made of. If there was a fan favorite contest at Amsterdam School, Allison would win hands down. Everyone loves her. What is not to love? She is patient, kind, and giving at all times. No matter what the task, nothing seems to faze her. With a smile on her face, her response is always, I can do that. She also is one of the first to offer help when the need arises. Allison has an endearing personality, which translates into trust and comfort for her students, collaboration, mentoring, and friendship for her peers. It spurs learning and instills confidence in teachers and students alike. Allison is so successful in the classroom because she has a gift to customize learning to meet the students where they are. She has an innate talent to motivate students. She will always find a way to inspire them. Her students keep working even when the struggle is hard. She has a vast and expansive repertoire of learning activities which helps keep students focused and engaged. She is well-versed in current research-based instructional strategies and implements them regularly. In this manner, her craft is ever-growing, and she's consistently enhancing student learning, and that is her focus. Allison contributes greatly to the school culture. She's an active member of our school community. She participates in a variety of committees, such as the Great Character Education Committee, Locks of Love Program, Young Authors Day, Spelling Bee, and a district assessment for TP. Allison's expertise and talents were called on once more to assist with a board presentation on the benefits of an all-day kindergarten program. On this professional level, here too, she was a perfect fit. I can't speak highly enough of Allison's character, talents, and work ethic, which makes her truly worthy of this prestigious honor. This honor and Allison, truly a perfect fit. Congratulations, Allison. We are truly proud of all your accomplishments. How lucky are the students of Amsterdam School to have you as a teacher? How lucky are you to have you as our colleague? We hope you
stay with us many more years in this exciting role. Congratulations. Ms. Howe and I are proud to announce this year's District Governor's Educational Service Person of the Year. It was awarded posthumously to Dr. Shannon Gutches. We are honored to have Shannon's family here, her parents, sister, and fiancé, to receive this honor for the dedicated work of our friend and colleague. Words cannot express the gratitude we have for having known Shannon and for her contributions to our school district. I'd like to invite you all to come up and join us. If you'd like to stay in your seats, you're welcome to. Shannon was such a presence in our school. She was an individual who was loved and highly respected. Her merits qualifying her for this honor are so far-reaching, it is difficult to know where to begin. Shannon served as a school psychologist on the child study team in Amsterdam School and in the preschool program at Woods Road School for a mere 3 years. But in that short time, she made an indelible mark on the lives of all in both school communities. This amazing woman was an exceptional person, colleague, and educator. She was one of the special ones with a keen sense of humor, wit, and an undeniable dedication to children. During her time with us, she made herself a critical resource to our teachers, students, and parents. Shannon, among many other things, excelled in behavioral strategies and emotional regulation. She routinely provided vital crisis intervention services to students who were experiencing significant behavioral issues. Her interactions with students were special to see. She was patient, caring, friendly. She easily captivated her young friends' trust and attention. She was a safe haven for children. The hands-on, supportive manner she utilized often found her, to the delight of all, in the classroom or playground, working alongside students in a calm, informed manner, always helping, supporting, and finding a way to help. With a crayon in her hand and a smile on her face, she was every child's best friend. Her presence communicated, "I am here, I will catch you," and catch she did. As her principal, I relied on Shannon heavily for her expertise and insight. Her expansive knowledge of child development and understanding of how children learn was an invaluable resource. She was a critical component of our INS team. Her participation at this table is sorely missed. When Shannon had a contribution, which would be often, there would be that side tip of her head and that indescribable twinkle in the eye that told us we had nothing to dread. We were all assured that Shannon figured this out. She had a plan. Shannon was a lifelong learner. She set high expectations and goals for herself. Her esteemed professional profile was truly impressive. She held a clinical doctorate in psychology at her young age. One of my last personal conversations was to encourage her to go into educational leadership. She was in the process of starting graduate school to begin that quest. She certainly possessed all of the qualities needed for this role, one that she already assumed in many ways. Shannon's compassion for children did not stop at the classroom door. During the summer, she maintained a leadership role with the High Step Summer Social Programs at Behavior Therapy Associates. She also worked with children and adolescents as a teacher and a co-owner of the dance studio with her beloved family. I would like to share with you the words of Jean Wright-Roth, a co-worker who wrote one of her many nominations. The qualities that made Dr. Gutches so special were her warm and accepting manner, her regard and respect for all, her sense of humor, her ability to communicate with others, Her repertoire included engaging the youngest preschooler in testing to navigate difficult meetings over sensitive issues with parents. The loss of our esteemed member is great for many reasons. It is only fitting that Shannon be recognized for her considerable and extensive contributions to the Hillsborough community and beyond with this prestigious recognition. It was an honor to have known and worked with this remarkable educator. Her work will serve as an inspiration to us all for many years to come. In closing, we would like to thank her family for coming here this evening and accepting this recognition on Shannon's behalf, a recognition which is so richly deserved. Thank you. At this time, we would like to invite all recipients to come up for a picture. Thank you.
For the recess.
Go ahead.
There's a student. If the students came
Oh,
specifically
yeah.
to say something about a teacher.
Oh, okay. Dylan Boguszewski, are you here? Apparently, you wanted to make some comments specifically about a teacher? Please, Dylan, come up to the microphone before we break. Don't feel any pressure that you're holding everybody from the cake.
Good evening. I just wanted to take a moment and thank Mrs. Riley. Congratulations on being Teacher of the Year. I had a pleasure of being one of her students 5+ years ago. Even after I left Woods Road School, we have kept in touch. Mrs. Riley has been my personal cheerleader through my journey here at Hillsborough. I would have never made the honor roll for the second time this year without the skills and support that she taught me. I am an honor roll student because of her. Mrs. Riley, even after today, you will always be Teacher of the Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan, and congratulations to all the recipients. Now we will take a 10-minute break for cake, and then we'll reassemble. Thank you. Thank you. We'll start up again, please. Can I ask everyone to take their seats? Thank you. You didn't have anything else for Superintendent's Report. Okay, so now we'll go into committee reports. I believe all four of the committees met everything but communications. Who would like to go first?
I'll do it.
Judy, thank you.
Okay. We had an Education Committee meeting on February 12th. We discussed several course title changes. We're moving treble chorale, wind ensemble, and mixed chorale, hopefully tonight, to having a CP level class and a honors class in each of the 3 activities. Our performing arts students all perform at an extremely high level of performance, and hopefully the board will approve this tonight. We also went through presentations with our budget managers in the education areas. One was special services, one was technology, and one was curriculum. In special services, we're seeing a need for additional teachers. We're asking for an additional autism teacher, an LLD severe teacher, and a part-time resource teacher, and additional instructional assistants, which are contingent in the event of additional move-ins and new classifications. We're seeing an increase in legal cases and an increase in psychiatric concerns and additional referrals and move-ins, which are prompting several of these moves. In the area of technology, we saw a very good presentation about how actively our learners are using the G Suite materials that we've provided, and a history that shows an overall decrease in budgeted funds since 2013-14. We looked at various additional expenditures, and we're going to be talking further about that. Hillsborough is still seen as a model district in our utilization of technology integration, and we're still very, very proud of the work that we've done in that area. Under curriculum, we also have a curriculum budget history of disappearing funds. I don't mean disappearing funds, I mean decreasing funds. Don't get anything wrong there. We're looking at some additional curriculum writing this year, as well as writing for the mandated LGBTQ curriculum additions. We're going to be basically staying the same, staying status quo. We have a lack of growth in this area because of all the budget cuts we took last year. We also approved a fiction book called Project 1065, which is an 8th grade level book, a very interesting book. And we should be approving tonight the health and physical education curriculum that had been previously worked on and brought forward tonight. We are hopeful that in the next month we'll be able to announce some summer programs. Look in March for further information about that. And we'll have further information on that, as I said, next month. So that's basically our report.
Thank you. Greg?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Operations Committee met February 13th. We had several items on the agenda. We had a couple of presentations from some of the budget managers. They were brief. Ms. Bennett reported on her proposed budget for transportation for next year. As you know, the increasing cost of our contracted bus services from the bus companies is, well, it's increasing. I said that twice in the same sentence. And so she's proposing that we lease purchase 5 additional 54-passenger buses. Now, you might recall that we're just in the midst of starting up 3 54-passenger buses this month. But this would be 5 additional. The 5 additional buses would actually save us in the overall budget $134,000. This is all in, including hiring full-time drivers with benefits that will work for the district. It's just the cost of the contracts is so great now that we're starting to head the other way. This also, as I mentioned before, this also keeps the bus companies on their toes. They know that for services such as transportation for athletic events, that we have our own buses. They can't, if they're going to come in and want those contracts, they're going to have to come in and beat what we could do it ourselves. So that was good. Everything else in her budget basically remains the same. Maybe 2 smaller buses to replace 2 existing that are at the end of life also. For buildings and grounds, Mr. DeLuca came in and presented basically status quo on everything. The budget will go down slightly, about 2%, but that's mostly due to the principal and interest payments for the ESIP program are included in that budget, and that those principal and interest payments will go down slightly for the next budget year. Just the amortization schedule just calls for a slight decrease in that. So that'll be where that savings will come from in that. Every year, we put out RFQ, requests for qualifications, for some of our professionals or professional services that work at the pleasure of the board. So this is on a rotating basis, so we get a different group of usually about 3 professionals every year. So what was up for this year was attorney, architect, and environmental consultant. Ms. Schwab, our purchasing assistant, worked with the business office on putting out and receiving RFQs for each of those. It's our after review of the proposals that came in, the qualifications that came in from the various people who responded. It's our recommendation and the business office's recommendation to remain with the 3 that we currently have. That would be architect of record, it would be EI, the environmental consultant is EDI, and the attorney would be F&H. So, trying to see what I did there? Gave you some initials there. That's our recommendation, and we'll, if the board is okay with that, we'll do that in what we call our mid-year reorganization in May, when we do the reorgs that have to start on July 1st. Okay, almost done. We're looking into accepting a donation from the Alton Road Intermediate School HSA for $7,500 to have either 2 or 3 water bottle filling stations. The hang-up here is that maybe $7,500 doesn't pay for 3. It might only pay for 2. So, but we're all for it. We're gonna look into that, see what we can do. We'd like to get 3 for ARIS, and that's thank you very much for ARIS HSA for that donation. Then we had Mr. Wozni there. He gave us some updates. He took a look at the Sunnymead parking lot, which is part of the one of the projects that was passed in the referendum, but it's a little, it was a more complicated project that he had to go out and start looking at, so he came up with a clever idea for that, which we'll be sharing when he's a little further along the line, but something that will improve the flow of traffic for parents dropping off and for buses coming in and out. That's a difficult road, and it's a little crazy in the morning and afternoon, but he's got a good solution to that, which we'll share as he gets further along in the plan. And finally, for several years now, maybe going all the way back to the replacement of the high school football field athletic turf and the replacement of the repaving of the middle school parking lot, we've been talking about doing some upgrades and fixes at our other athletic facilities mostly around the high school. We made a conscious decision in the big referendum that passed in December not to include any athletic concerns in the referendum. We wanted it just to be about the school buildings themselves. But that doesn't mean we forgot about it. We've actually been working on this for many years. So we had the architect, Mr. Wozni, work with the athletic director and the business office to come up with the top needs of the I think these are all the high school top needs of the facilities, and there are some glaring needs here. So he came up with costs for us, projected costs, for exterior projects and interior projects, all told about $3.2 million. As we started taking a look at these, and the big ones here obviously are the track and field resurfacing. That's a big one. And also, I guess there's really 2 big ones. All the work at the tennis courts at the high school, which are in very seriously bad condition right now, and maybe, I don't know how they're going to repair them for this year, but they will, but they're in bad condition. So those are the big ticket items. So our charge to Mr. Wozni was to go back now and see which projects would qualify for debt service aid if we borrowed to do the projects, and which projects on this list maybe could be added into the referendum that already passed. For instance, we're doing a lot of paving around the high school, asphalt paving. Well, one of the concerns on my list here is paving walkways around the football field where they're all cracked and broken up. So that could be included in the referendum that already passed while we're doing the paving. In other words, when we put out a spec for companies to bid on that, we put it as options. Do this, so they can check off how much it would cost to do each of these things, we can only then choose to select as much as we've already borrowed for and approved for. So we wouldn't have to do it, but so what I'm trying to say is once we looked into this and removed the projects that wouldn't qualify for debt service aid, removed projects that could wait for another year because they weren't critical like the track and the tennis courts, we came up to maybe $1.5 million worth of projects for right away. So what would that mean? And I'm sorry I'm taking so much time, but this is the first time we're talking about this. I want to make sure that the public gets it right. So functionally, the only way to get aid to do those projects is to borrow the money. You have to borrow, you have to have a referendum and borrow $1.5 million in order to get aid from the state in the form of debt service aid. In this case, if we borrowed $1.5 million of qualifying projects, we would receive from the state about $500,000, $500,000, about 33 to 34%, which would mean we would pay $1 million. The way we would do that is, just like we did the high school turf replacement and the middle school parking lot, we would take a one-year note. In other words, we would borrow for just 1 year. We have $1 million in our capital reserve account, which we've been building just for purposes like this. This is exactly the way we've done this before. So we would borrow $1.5 million if it passed at a referendum, and then you would, when it came due that same year, you'd pay your principal of interest of $1 million, and the state would give you the $500,000. So that's how we would do it. Our next charge for Mr. Wozni, if the board, our next charge is to pare it down to get the exact projects. We're going to see that maybe at our next operations committee meeting. Then we'll come to the board here, and you'll have that in your packets, what exactly the projects would be. And the next thing we would have to do as a board is authorize Mr. Wozni to apply to the state DOE for the project so that we'd be able to get the debt service aid ahead of time. As you know from last time, this takes a long time. If we wanted to have a referendum in November, which I think some board members prefer November, some might prefer December, but if you wanted to even have a chance in November, we would have to authorize him to submit these materials probably at one of our March meetings, for sure. We couldn't go later than March. So I know that was long-winded, but this is the first time we're talking about it here, so I want to make sure everybody got it, board members understood what we're talking about. And if you have any questions about that, I can take them later or now, and we'll talk about it more next time.
Thank you, Greg, for that comprehensive report. I think it's really important to get the right information out there. I thought it was a really good summary. HR.
Thank you. I thought I was going to have a lot to say for HR tonight, but compared to Greg's report, I'm still not going to measure up from HR.
No one feels worse than Ashley over here wants to go home.
So we met on February 12th. We started out with a discussion of new policy and regulation 1642 about earned sick leave law. This is a law regarding sick leave that was passed in 2018. Initially, there was a consensus across districts that this law did not apply to day-to-day substitutes. This fall, the DOE added an FAQ to the law, noting that they believe that day-to-day substitutes should be covered by the law. So we are reviewing how we should put that into effect and setting up the appropriate policy and regulation based on how we choose to implement the requirements of that law. We then proceeded on to budget manager presentation. Mr. Callahan initially presented regarding the positions look to be added this year. That original list is whittled down to what we believe to be essential and mandated positions in the area of special needs, which will be a total request of 7 positions at this point. One of the things we also discussed as part of this is how we account for this at budget time to make sure that we account appropriately for how much these positions will cost us. So we did have a discussion about accounting for healthcare benefits and their costs as part of making sure that we come up with a real accurate number for how we plan the budgets for this. We also, as part of the budget, reviewed the situation with substitute teachers. We currently have a hard time filling substitute teachers. positions as needed, and we end up paying for extra coverage. And right now, we're having trouble. We're spending more money on extra coverage than we probably would if we had a higher rate for a substitute. So we're going to be doing some research into what neighboring districts pay daily rate for their substitutes and review that against what we should be paying and how that might impact our actual expenses around substitutes. We then followed that up with some personnel discussions, and then, as I reported at a previous meeting, we've been discussing the payout of unused sick and vacation time. We are continuing that discussion and trying to understand the different things that are in contracts across the district and making sure that we're both responsible with how we handle that, and also that we're meeting the legal requirements on what can be done with unused sick and vacation time. I think we've cleared up most of our questions, but we got to another kind of confusing question, so we've asked our legal team to give us a finding on the last question that's outstanding, but we'll continue to discuss that to make sure that we handle that correctly. And lastly, I forget the date, but several weeks ago we had a job fair. And at that job fair, we hired over 20 substitutes in various areas. And right now, we're pending on certificates and other steps that have to be taken by those people to be able to start working in the district. But it was a very successful job fair, and we expect it will probably do it again sometime this year, probably at a point when college students may also be available to show up for that, because we can get some more substitutes from them. And that was our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. The Governance Committee also met and had budget presentations and discussed basically just the budget and a possible referendum projects. Ann reported out on that, but that was about it. Okay, so with that, I will open the floor to questions about any of the committee meeting reports.
I just have an additional legislative comment. Governor Murphy's budget speech is tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So hopefully we'll find out what our state aid looks like
48 hours later.
48 hours later or sooner. And we'll find out if they're going for any additional state aid for special needs. So tune in tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, then we will go to public input on the 2021 budget and on the action agenda. And I'm also going to open the floor to students who want to speak so that they can get home and have a reasonable bedtime in case we run long. We very much welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during board meetings that the public is invited to speak. One time is right now, when you may speak about any item that is listed on tonight's agenda. Unless you're a student, then you can talk about other items before the board votes. Towards the end of the meeting, there's another public comment period to address any topic. Before you make your comment, please state your name and address. Please also fill out a form on the table next to the podium in case the board needs to follow up with you after the meeting. There's a 3-minute time limit per speaker. Please understand that our public comment periods are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board believes there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent may address the comment after the close of public comment or after the board meeting. There may be times when a member of the public makes a comment or asks a question about personnel or hiring decisions. New Jersey statutes do not permit the board to discuss personnel issues in public session. With that, I'll take my first speaker. Thank you.
All right, hello, my name is Marissa Creelman. I'm a Hillsborough resident of Crowell Road. I'm also a senior at HHS, a newly Girl Scout Gold Award recipient, and a member of the high school robotics team, Team 75. This year, I had the honor to start an FLL robotics team alongside Ms. Teller to earn my Gold Award, and I couldn't be more grateful. Robotics is something that I hold very close to my heart and wanted to help spread the word to allow more of these experiences to make their way into our school district. I started my STEM journey on the first LEGO League team at the middle school and was able to continue that into the high school by participating on the FRC team, which is also run by the organization FIRST. The opportunities and experiences I have gained has helped shape me into the person I am today, which has encouraged me to make it possible for students to start their STEM journey at an even earlier age. Having this FLL team at AHS has helped spark their creativity and has given them a chance to do things they wouldn't be able to do anywhere else, not to mention also introducing the robotics programs that are ahead of them. But rather than hearing it from me, I have a couple of students who are on the team this year who would like to share about their experiences.
Hi, my name is Ayush Patel. When I took part in the AHS robotics, I learned many things and was able to build friendships with other people. I learned many different life skills like getting along and not talking over each other. I will use this in the future. I had lots of fun during robotics and I would hope to do it again in the future. Other kids would really love this program because not only is it just a fun competition, it's a huge learning experience.
Hello, my name is Joshua Zhang. While on the team, one thing I enjoyed was working with others I haven't even known. I believe that the next sixth graders here at AHS should have another chance to be in the AHS robotics. Originally, I never actually wanted to be in robotics. I never wanted to be in the robotics club. But when I got in, I found the experience more enjoyable than I thought it would be. And I recommend it to all that go here. I don't know what else to write. I recommend it for others to let their ideas go change the future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alan. During my time on the AHS robotics team, I learned many things, but one thing that we all learned is teamwork. My favorite part of the season is at Burrow Blast, because we got to see what other teams did with their robots and stuff that we could improve. I recommend robotics to others because it teaches you teamwork, which is something you'll need to know as you grow older.
Hello, my name is Rohan. During my time in AHS Robotics, I learned more life skills than what meets the eye. Yes, we learned how to work on coding a robot, but when the competition came, we learned how to unite as a team. I think this is an excellent opportunity for the next sixth graders, since this involves us in our community, to fix problems in different ways. Robotics isn't just some other club, it's an opportunity.
Hi, my name is Sharvi. Robotics was an amazing experience. I didn't know anything about robotics, but after this I learned how to code, I improved my teamwork skills, and made new friends. When I applied for the robotics club, I was not interested in it, but at the end I ended up not wanting to leave. I'm very excited for middle school robotics.
Hi, my name is Apurva Nigam. I am happy that I had the decision to try out for the AHS robotics team. And when I got in, I made new friends. I got to learn more about programming and working with the big group. I usually like working individually, but working with the big group was a lot more helpful. I would recommend this club to further grades at AHS, and I would recommend them to try out next year. Thank you.
As you can see, this robotics team has made an impact on these students, and not continuing the team next year would take away a huge opportunity for the students to come. The field of computer science is the fastest growing field currently, and without having this team, students will not be given all of the tools that they deserve in order to help them become successful if they choose to pursue a job in the STEM industry. They might only be in sixth grade, but the amount that they've been able to accomplish for their competitions, as well as working as a team efficiently, proves that if they start learning more in depth about STEM now, they'll be able to do even bigger things in the future. I'm aware that funding is difficult, but I do believe that there are ways to work around it. For example, just this past fall, Governor Murphy announced his Computer Science for All state plan, which gives out $2 million in STEM grants. Hillsborough could benefit greatly from this grant money, including the AHS FLL team, and overall expanding the computer science programs within Hillsborough. After hearing from both me and some of the students on the team, I hope it's clear to see how much of an impact this program truly has on its participants. It's an environment that promotes creative thinking, presentation skills, STEM education, and most importantly, an outlet to help students become successful. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming out, and it's lovely to hear all of the great things that are going on. Just remember, when you create the new Tesla, the new Google, or whatever, don't forget us back in Hillsborough, okay? Is there anybody else to speak on the budget or on the action agenda?
Good evening. My name is Gisela Segedi, and this is Janet McCarthy. We're co-presidents of the Hillsborough Education Foundation. I think we're on the agenda tonight,
You
right?
are,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So HEF has a long tradition of serving the Hillsborough community, and we are proud to be revitalizing our ability to support the students and teachers of the Hillsborough Township Public Schools. This spring, we are awarding 15 grants totaling over $8,600 to 24 teachers and supervisors, some of which we just learned are Teachers of the Year. And, these are the grants that are pending board approval tonight. If you're interested in learning more or make a donation or volunteering for our organization, please go to our website at hef.org. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Leisha Gaber-Bayless, live in Hillsborough. Just a couple of things. One, the Rover Raiders are terrific. I've been to several of their expos in Hillsborough, and I've seen them perform in Bridgewater. There's also a junior level that we could also bring to the schools, and that's Layla League Junior. It covers K through 4. I currently actually have my child enrolled in something that I found with Robotics for Kids up in Warren. I worked with a woman to create a group because I'm not getting around to doing it myself. Time is short. They are a 501c3 tax donatable, as is the HEF, for those who want to make donations. I don't know if you had an uptake in your budget comments online or not, but I posted your link recently, and I just wanted to share some of the things that some people shared in case they didn't write in themselves. So let's see, sorry. So some wanted busing and to ideally bring it back or one person suggested bringing it back for the high school students. And I was happy to hear from Greg that we are considering purchasing more buses because personally, we must have probably gone through 4 or 5 bus drivers so far, and we just got one that was hired in staff. And she is the friendliest, nicest person. She calls out to the parents. You can understand her. I mean, the other bus drivers were nice as well, at least the one that we had for a long time. But this one is above and beyond. She's on time. She actually, my husband said, gave a little speech when she first came the first day, saying, I'm going to try my best to be there on time. Just wanted to let you know that. Other people asked about lower class sizes. 2 mentioned that there was 30 in their Spanish classes. Possibly one way you could do that is if you wanted to have more pull-out for any particular reason. Maybe if you can't lower class sizes, maybe you could do a pull-out for at least part of the day. Some people were wondering if you could be able to explain to the public about your thoughts. So if you're thinking about cutting one thing, how will that impact something else? For example, someone said, if you cut the funding for STEM, are you going to, if you increase something, do you cut the funding for STEM or are higher costs for sports? Are people going to feel that? Let's see. Someone was wondering if you could discuss just how you were thinking about, quote unquote, accommodating the influx of children to the school district, unquote, due to the new housing that's coming up. And there was mixed comments on number of janitors, if you should have less or more, but considering the janitors are sometimes our first step in seeing if there's something wrong with the buildings, if we have mold, or if we have leaks, that could lead to mold, that could lead to a lot of expenses. Also bring back SAT prep. See you, thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments on the agenda or the action items? Okay, seeing none, I'll take any comments or questions from the board on either of those. Okay, then we will move to
Excuse me. I don't know if
it might not be appropriate for me to bring it up now, but as long as we have more people now. I just wanted to mention that the Footloose the Musical will be performed at the high school March 6th, 7th, 8th, 13th, and 14th. So encourage people to go.
Thank you. Actually, there's also the Purdue Glee Club is coming to town and performing with our choir on Monday, March 16th, unfortunately, at 7 p.m., which we have a board meeting. I wanted to go, but... yeah, they should come perform at our board meeting. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Jane. All right, so we'll move on to our action agenda then.
The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the education agenda as follows. 10-1 to 10-11. Motion to approve travel-related expenses, to affirm the superintendent's harassment, intimidation, and bullying determination, to approve overnight trips, motion to approve field trip destinations, and the course title changes that Mrs. Haas referred to in her report, motion to approve the fiction book and the revised curriculum, motion to approve submission of the grant applications to NJEA Frederick L. Hip Foundation for Excellence in Education, motion to accept 2018-19 carryover for ESEA and 18-19 carryover for IDEA, motion to accept the 1920 Hillsborough Education Foundation grants. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the education agenda items 10.1 to 10.11?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, any discussion? Okay. Roll call, please, Ms. Mahmood.
Thank you. Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Dr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Maroon?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stats?
Yes.
Mr. Hio?
Yes.
Dr. Sasan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the human resources agenda as follows. 11-1 to 11-14. Motion to approve paid administrative leave of absence. Motion to approve paid suspension. Motion to approve retirements and resignations, with a little shout out to Linda Imperato, who's been with us for 27 years of service as an instructional assistant, I believe all at Woodford School. Absolutely. Motion to approve contract changes as listed, as well as transfer, change, and assignments. Motion to approve leaves of absence, revised long-term substitutes, and to approve appointments. Motion to approve a buddy. Motion to pre-approve extra coverage and to approve extra coverage. A motion to approve a revised sixth period coverage and to approve a sixth period coverage, as well as a seventh period coverage. That's it.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve human resources agenda items 11-1 to 11.14?
So moved.
Thank you, Chris.
Second.
Thank you, Jane. Okay. Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Surely. Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Dr. Harris? Yes. Ms. Maroon?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver? Yes. Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stats?
Yes.
Mr. Hio?
Yes.
Dr. Sasan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the operations agenda as follows. 12-1 to 12-4. Motion to approve the monthly financial statement. Motion to approve monthly bills. Motion to approve the 2021 Somerset County Educational Services Commission non-public agreements, and motion to accept a donation from the ExxonMobil Education Alliance.
Okay. Can I have a motion to accept the operations items 12-1 to 12-4, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Greg.
Second.
Thank you, Ann. Roll call, please. Oh, sorry, discussion before I call for roll call? Okay, thank
Good?
you. Yep.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Dr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Maroon?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver? Yes. Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Mrs. Stats?
Yes.
Mr. Hio?
Yes.
Dr. Sasan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We have some informational items, and now we'll return back to comments from the public and the board. We very much, and this could be on any topic, we very much welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during board meetings that the public is invited to speak. The first time was at the beginning of the meeting. The second time is now. At this time, again, you may address any topic. Before you make your comment, please state your name and address, and be sure to fill out the form next to the podium in the event the board needs to follow up with you after the meeting. There is a 3-minute time limit per speaker. Please understand that our public comment periods are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board believes that there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent may address the comment after the close of public comment or after the board meeting. There may be times when a member of the public makes a comment or asks a question about personnel or hiring decisions. New Jersey statutes do not permit the board to discuss personnel issues in public session.
Hello again, Alicia Gaber-Bayless. So I just wanted to let you know, in case you haven't heard, that Triangle School is having a STEM science fair later this week. Several local businesses and groups and businesses are coming, including the Robo Raiders, possibly 15 to 30 of the students coming to help and give a demonstration. Code Ninjas, Science Tellers, Barnes & Nobles, and we have multiple hands-on activities this year. Unfortunately, it's closed to the public, but I am allowed to invite those who help run their own school STEM events. So if you'd like, you can contact me to register or just simply to collaborate at trianglestem@gmail.com. That's trianglestem@gmail.com. We have over 800 pounds of weights ready to break over 60 bridges. That's our first time doing this event. And we have double the number of students registered than we did last year. I am sad to hear that some of the teachers may not be able to make it due to work to rule. So I was hoping that, since I didn't hear anything tonight, if something could be told to the public, because the public doesn't really understand what's going on. But anyway, we are very excited about our event, and if anyone on the board is interested, you can contact me as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Alicia.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Neal, and I live at 6 Cedar Hill Terrace, Hillsborough, New Jersey. I'm a Hillsborough parent and incidentally also a coach of an FLL robotics team that is not directly affiliated with ARIS, but they're a great group and the Robo Raiders are awesome too. Tonight I'm here though as a public health professional and a parent, urging you to support healthy school hours starting in the fall of 2021. Extensive scientific evidence shows that starting middle and high school at 8:30 a.m. or later improves physical health, mental health, and academic success among teenagers. I would be happy to share the many studies that support this statement. As board members, you have the opportunity to make a real difference in our students' lives by implementing healthy school hours across the district. As you know, research shows that when children go through puberty, their circadian rhythm shifts later. Adolescents' bodies are in sleep mode from about 11 p.m. to 8 a.m., which does not match with early school start times. This is about biology and goes beyond healthy sleep habits like avoiding screen use before bed. When teenagers don't get enough sleep, they suffer from higher rates of mental illness, substance use, obesity, and other health problems. They get in more car accidents because drowsy driving is as dangerous as drunk driving. In fact, New Jersey has a law that charges drowsy drivers with vehicular homicide if they cause a deadly crash. Sleep-deprived students also perform worse academically, as shown both by GPA and test scores. The best way for our teenagers to get enough sleep is to push school start times later. All the major medical organizations recommend that middle and high school start at 8:30 a.m. or later. In fact, the later the start time, the greater the benefit to teens. For example, our family used to live in Charlottesville, Virginia, where they delayed the high school start time to 9:05 a.m. to improve students' health and academics. If you want to learn more about the benefits of healthy school hours and how to implement them, I encourage you to join a webinar on Thursday, March 19th at 12 o'clock. I will send the board details by email. The webinar will be led by Dr. Bert Mandelbaum, the school physician for Hillsborough, and Jessica Baxter, the principal of Princeton High School. Princeton delayed their high school start time in 2018 and can share best practices about how to successfully make the change. The benefits are clear. Hillsborough should adopt healthy school hours. Now the question is how we can best implement the change by the fall of 2021. I asked the school board to form a task force that includes school board members, administrators, teachers, parents, and students. The goals of this group should be to communicate with all stakeholders about the benefits of healthy school hours, to hear community input about options, and to develop specific implementation proposals that work for our town. There is growing momentum for healthy school hours across the state and the country. As you may know, California recently passed a bill requiring all high schools to start at 8:30 or later. Let's not wait for a law that mandates healthy school hours. Let Hillsborough be a leader in promoting our student well-being. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, I'll just say something. Can I speak? I'll speak. Okay, so maybe a lot of you are like me. I didn't know.
Can you say your name?
I'm Janet Long. Yes, hi. I have a 10-year-old who's in 4th grade at Woods Road School, and Tiffany is my girlfriend. We're actually co-leaders to the FLL together. So I wanted to just say that maybe you're like me and you didn't know all of the science behind teenagers needing to get to bed later and get up earlier. I've always thought health was the most important foundation for everything. How you feel, I'm sure you all agree, if you're tired, you can't think as clearly, you're not doing as well in all areas of your life. But I was really surprised to find out about the teenagers' circadian rhythm and when they need to go to bed. So when I started researching it, based on Tiffany's prodding and showing me all the research, I was really impressed by how many people are doing this research and making changes. So I just wanted to show up here and just support this. I've talked to so many parents and their children, and everybody is unanimously in favor, and to the point where people are just jumping up and down saying, yes, yes, yes. And so I had no idea that this was like even an issue until I was so grateful Tiffany brought me on board. So we have a lot of support, and I just really wanted to share that there's a lot of support out there, because I'm new to this, understanding what teenagers need. On a personal level, people think I'm crazy. I don't use an alarm clock. My son doesn't use an alarm clock. We go to bed at the time we need to go to bed so that we wake up when we need to wake up, like our body just wakes up. So people think I'm crazy. But anyway, that's what I do at home, my son. But I want to urge you to follow through with this, as Tiffany said, because there's a lot of support for it. And we really, really want to give our children healthy baseline so that they don't think being tired is just a normal way. They don't even know anything else. So when they go into the workforce, into their lives, they can have a good foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Is there any other public comment? Okay, so I'll close public comment, and I'll just, in reference to the healthy start time, the healthy school hours, we're just initially starting the discussions in the board committees. I know that our superintendent and high school principal and athletic director have gone to meetings within the county to determine how, if we can move forward and how best to do it together, since we all compete against one another in sports and things like that. I will just say that Princeton took a long time, set up a task force, and they took 2 years to implement it. So I don't know that we'll get there for fall of 2021 if we get there, but we certainly are looking into it, and I know the Education Committee has already discussed the data in support of it. Several board members have gone to meetings about it, so we look forward to starting that discussion. Thank you. Yes, so I was going to open it to board comment. Jane? Yeah.
Well, I just, regarding, sometimes I hear people say, oh, they should just go to bed earlier, but the main issue is their biological, the circadian rhythms that just, yeah, they can go to bed, but they're not going to fall asleep. So I just want to make sure people are aware it's not as simple as that it's their biology that keeps them from just simply going to bed earlier. So this is it really is a serious issue that I'm glad we're looking into.
Yeah.
School Board Associations, Leader Magazine has a front page article about the case for later start times. And basically what's in this magazine, which all board members hopefully have gotten, is the case that Dr. Mandelbaum made at a meeting I attended earlier this year. as well as Steve Cochran's presentation from, it was a very informative meeting where Dr. Mandelbaum was, very, very good in terms of all of the scientific medical reasons to do it. And Mr. Cochran spoke about all of the administrative issues, which did take a long time for them to get community support. One of the big differences between us and Princeton is that half of the children in Princeton schools walk to schools. One of our biggest challenges will be transportation, because right now we have contracts with a lot of outside providers of transportation, and those contracts would have to be rebid if we messed with the start times of various school buildings. Plus, while it's easy to say that people are unanimous about it, we might be unanimous about the science, but there are a lot of people also in town who have obligations and work obligations, and not that it's insurmountable, but that you need to give people enough time to rearrange their lives in order to accomplish this. So there are some serious administrative challenges here. And I know that Bridgewater was very anxious to get theirs started this year, and they got some substantial pushback from their community about that. So I would hope we have an opportunity to get the community involved and get all of the administrative ducks in a row, which will not be easy given everything else that we have to cope with the budget and everything else. But I think we pretty much have a good sense of support by the board to do what we can when we can. And maybe we could post some of this information on our website, if that would be possible.
We've also talked about sending out, Bridgewater sent out a community survey and a student survey.
Yeah.
I think it's important to start the discussions, at least let people know that this is something that we could consider if there was broad support. But it is something that could be, as you said, resource impacted. So, we have to see whether or not we can run the bus routes and things like that so as not to disrupt our budget too much either.
I have a question. So, Mrs. Haas, what would you anticipate the projected timeline for next steps to start beginning in terms of the Education Committee taking it up?
We could meet on it, we have met on it. We've had a, initial discussion where we discussed starting out with the community survey, and we'll continue to meet on that. This month we had like a 4-hour Education Committee meeting and didn't get through our entire agenda, so we're not dropping the issue.
Right, so I guess my question, I know what you said about giving community enough time to prepare for it, but it just seems to me that I don't know who said it. I think there was a public comment in meetings prior. It's that if this is truly a priority of the board, we would work around, or we would actively address the issues of sports, jobs, etc. If we really do believe, as Mr. Cochran from the Princeton Public Schools said, the superintendent said, is that it's really the #1 priority in terms of students' mental health and well-being, that should really rise to the top. And so I guess I'm asking for a timeline. Like, I know you can't give me a specific timeline, but it would be nice just for the public, because Mrs. Neal has come at a previous meeting, to just kind of get a sense. Are we talking about, like, maybe we could report back in March or April or so forth? Because I just feel that when like, for example, courtesy busing was taken away, and we didn't really give parents that much time to, you just had to figure it out.
That was a budget item.
I understand, but what I'm saying is what the community, what they're asking is September 2021. That's over a year.
It's not going to happen. I doubt very much it would happen by in a year.
But to me, to me, it sounds that there's not majority interest, because I, for one, am very interested in starting what they had suggested of a community like a task force. Like, John, we had talked about, there was a letter from a community member about mental health issues, to have a task force and to really, to address this, because otherwise, why else are we educating our students? It's like, if their mental health isn't our most important priority, what else are we doing?
Yeah, so Bridgewater held a community forum, and I think that's something that we should do. But at that community forum, there was a former principal or superintendent who said that they failed because they tried to implement it too fast. And so what I would suggest is that we maybe review a potential community survey among the education committee, maybe after we have to get the budget done, so maybe in the April timeframe, if you could supply us with something. I know that you requested something from Bridgewater. And we can start in April with discussions. But it is going to be not just the education committee that takes this up. Operations is going to have to take up the impact of it. HR will have to take up that. And so it is, for us to all get our ducks in a row and then start the communication and have effective communication with the public, we have to be fully prepared, and the administration has to be fully prepared to lead those discussions. But right now, individual board members have said that it's a priority for them. I think it's a good idea for us to examine, but the board as a whole has to come together and say that this is a priority for us and direct our administrative team to press forward if that is in fact the case. So I think if we could add it to the education agenda in April, that's at least a good start.
Thank you.
Sure.
Are we going to closed session? I forgot.
We are going into closed session, yeah. So if there are no more comments, then we will be moving back into executive session. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of Laws of 1975 provides that a public body may exclude the public from that portion of a meeting in which the public body discusses certain matters for which confidentiality is required as permitted in Section 7B of the Act. Resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Hillsborough and the County of Somerset and State of New Jersey as follows. The matters to be discussed are negotiations, vendor contract, and personnel matters. The matters discussed in executive session shall be disclosed to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. No action will be taken, and we will not be returning here. We'll adjourn as we leave. Thank you for coming out tonight. And
So moved.
Oh, we need a motion. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Greg.
Second.
Do I have a second to go into executive? Thank you, Lisa.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We're in executive now.